Have you ever felt an intense surge of desire, one that came out of nowhere, with no physical presence to explain it, as if someone you couldn't see, touch, or hear had somehow reached across dimensions to caress your soul? If you've experienced this, you're not imagining things. You're encountering one of the most mysterious and misunderstood phenomena in the spiritual world: telepathic intimacy between twin flames. It's confusing, electrifying, and often leaves you questioning your own sanity. You're not alone in this. Many feel the magnetic pull of someone miles away and wonder, is this love or is this madness? In today's video on Spiritual Universe, we're going to shine a light on this powerful connection. You'll learn what telepathic sex truly is, not just a phrase, but a sacred energetic exchange rooted in divine union. We'll guide you through its spiritual significance, how it awakens your chakras, and how it's different from anything rooted in lust. This isn't fantasy, it's frequency. Our goal today is to give you clarity about the sensations you're feeling, explain why they're happening, and help you recognize the deep soul-level bond that exists only between true twin flames. You'll understand why this connection starts in the soul long before it ever touches the skin. By the end of this video, you won't just understand what's happening to you, you'll embrace it. You'll gain insight into why this connection feels so overwhelming yet sacred, and how it's guiding you into a deeper version of yourself. This video will help you shift from confusion to clarity, from longing to empowerment. You'll begin to see telepathic union not as a mystery to fear, but as a divine invitation to awaken your soul to higher love. So if you've ever wondered whether your body is responding to something your soul already knows, stay with us. The answers you've been seeking are already calling to you through energy, through intuition, and now, through this message. Number 1. Soul-level intimacy, the invisible dance beyond the physical. Have you ever felt the presence of someone even though they were nowhere near? A subtle yet undeniable sensation, like a breath against your skin, an electric current brushing through your energy field, or the sudden warmth of a presence that cannot be explained by logic. This is not imagination. This is energy, real, palpable, and sacred. And for those walking the twin flame path, it is a profound reminder that intimacy begins far before the body ever touches. It begins in the soul. When two souls are destined to unite in this lifetime, their connection transcends every physical law we've been taught. Time zones become irrelevant. Miles dissolve. Oceans cannot separate what has already merged in the unseen. Even in complete physical distance, you may find yourself wrapped in the embrace of your beloved's energy, feeling their warmth, hearing their thoughts, sensing their emotions, and sometimes even experiencing physical sensations that have no material source. This is the invisible thread of twin flame intimacy, subtle, magnetic, and divinely orchestrated. What unfolds between such souls is not about desire in the way the world defines it. It's not about lust or surface-level attraction. It is sacred intimacy, an energetic union that rises like fire through the chakra system, awakening parts of your being that have been dormant for lifetimes. You may feel a tingling at the base of your spine, a heat in your solar plexus, or a swelling in your heart space, as if your soul is remembering something it never forgot. This awakening is not just spiritual, it is cellular, cosmic, and eternal. In this sacred bond, what we often call telepathic sex emerges not as fantasy, but as the energetic foundation of soul-level union. Before your hands ever meet, your vibrations have already danced together in the realms beyond form. Your breath responds to theirs even when you are apart. Your longing is not craving, it is recognition. The energy flows through you like a current, pulling you into a space where boundaries fade and only presence remains. This connection is not always easy to explain because it defies human logic. It is deeply personal, often overwhelming, and undeniably real. The magnetic pull between twin flames is not just emotional or spiritual. It is energetic and physical in ways that science has yet to fully understand. You may find yourself waking up from a dream with the sensation of having been touched. You may feel waves of emotion that are not your own, or find yourself aroused in a moment of stillness with no external stimulus. This is not illusion, it is the sacred expression of a soul union that exists beyond space and time. Such experiences serve a higher purpose. They are not random or accidental. They are invitations from the soul to trust the invisible, to surrender to the mystery, and to remember that love is not bound to the five senses. True intimacy begins where the ego ends, at the level of energy, spirit, and divine consciousness. So, if you have ever felt this type of connection raw, powerful, inexplicable, you are not alone. You are awakening to a love that was written long before your incarnation. A love that does not need words, touch, or proximity to be real. A love that speaks through vibration. And in this space, the soul remembers, we were always one. Before we move deeper into this sacred journey, I invite you to pause and reflect. Have you ever experienced a connection so profound, so unexplainable, that it transcended space and logic? A moment when you felt someone's presence in your soul without ever touching their hand. If any part of this spoke to you, let your heart answer. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story may help someone else feel seen. Or, if you simply resonate with this truth, type, I feel the soul before the body below. Let's awaken this conversation together. Number 2. The dance of energy and sacred sensation. Have you ever felt an inexplicable wave of heat radiate through your chest, or a gentle flutter in your stomach that seemed to arise from nowhere? Has your body stirred during moments of deep stillness, as if responding to a lover's touch that never physically occurred? In the realm of twin flames, such experiences are far from random. They are sacred signals, signs, invitations from the soul. When two twin flames are spiritually bonded, their energy fields begin to interact in ways that defy ordinary explanation. The body, far from being just a vessel, becomes a highly attuned receiver for energetic transmissions sent across time and space. This connection is not confined to words or glances. It exists in the unseen, the unspoken. You might be continents apart, asleep in separate beds, and yet feel a surge of warmth bloom in your heart chakra, or a soft stirring in your root. These moments of sudden sensation, whether it be a tingling along your spine, heat between your palms, or the sensation of invisible hands tracing your skin, are not imagination. They are energetic truths. Your twin flame is speaking to you, not through language or touch, but through vibration, through presence, through a sacred current that pulses with divine intelligence. This magnetic interaction, often referred to as a dance of energy, becomes most profound during states of rest or emotional openness, those quiet hours when your mind softens and your heart becomes a listening chamber. During sleep, meditation, or even simple stillness, the soul becomes more sensitive, more receptive. And in that space, the merging of energetic frequencies can occur with breathtaking clarity. You feel them, not metaphorically, but literally. The flutter in your solar plexus is not anxiety, it's your twin's excitement or yearning. The heaviness in your chest may be their sadness. The rush of heat in your lower body, that may be their passion rising. Without a single word exchanged, you begin to know them, feel them, sense them. This spiritual phenomenon is not just sensual, it is transformational. When your energy field interlocks with your twins in this way, it begins to purify old patterns, unearth buried desires, and stir the deepest truths of your soul. It's as if the universe is playing a love song only your body can hear. Each sensation is a note, each emotion a verse. And the song? It's one of reunion, of remembrance, of divine union calling you home. What's happening is more than romance, it's resonance. The intertwining of your energies clears stagnant blocks and old trauma. It reignites dormant aspects of your spirit and brings you back into alignment with your soul's original blueprint. You don't just feel passion, you feel purpose. You don't just sense desire, you sense destiny. This is the sacred alchemy of the twin flame connection. A love that speaks through heat, breath, vibration, and sensation. A union that begins long before the eyes meet or the hands touch. It begins with energy. So, the next time your body responds unexpectedly, when your heart races without cause or your body tingles in silence, don't brush it away. Breathe into it. Listen. Feel. Your twin flame may be closer than you think. Not in distance, but in spirit. Their essence may be dancing with yours in that very moment, and your body is the temple receiving the message. Let it in. Let it move you. This is the dance of sacred energy, and it was meant just for you. Number 3. Healing through sacred sexual energy, turning pain into purification. While the twin flame connection offers some of the most blissful, otherworldly experiences of love and energy, it also carries profound intensity, and not without challenge. The sacred sexual energy that flows between twin flames is not just about pleasure or spiritual ecstasy. It is also a fire meant to cleanse, to awaken, and to heal. And often, that process begins by confronting the deepest layers of pain stored in the body and soul. As telepathic desire begins to rise, sometimes spontaneously, sometimes through dreams, longing, or unexplained waves of arousal, it does more than excite the senses. It acts as a spotlight, illuminating parts of the self that have long been buried in shadow. The root chakra, responsible for our sense of safety, stability, and belonging, may hold ancient fears or survival wounds from childhood or past lifetimes. The sacral chakra, the center of sensuality, creativity, and emotional expression, often carries residual shame, guilt, or suppressed trauma. When sacred sexual energy flows through these lower chakras, especially in the intensity of a twin flame connection, it can trigger emotional pain that feels both sudden and overwhelming. But make no mistake, this is not dysfunction. It is divine intervention. What you are experiencing is not a breakdown of intimacy, but a breakthrough. This is purification. The sacred sexual current, unlike conventional desire, does not bypass the soul's wounds. Instead, it stirs them up with precision, bringing them to the surface so they can finally be acknowledged, embraced, and released. You may feel tears arise with the heat. Old memories may surface. Feelings of unworthiness, rejection, or abandonment may accompany the arousal, and this paradox can be deeply confusing. Yet this contradiction is precisely where healing lives. With each wave of intimate energy, your soul is being offered a choice: to numb and retreat, or to stay present and transmute. To witness your pain not as a flaw, but as a fire that purifies. This energy asks not only for surrender to passion, but surrender to truth. It beckons you to lay down the heavy burden of shame, to forgive the past, to uncoil the fear held tightly in your body, and to remember who you are beyond trauma, beyond programming, beyond separation. When met with conscious awareness, this sacred fire doesn't destroy, it refines. It burns away illusions, dissolves outdated identities, and polishes the soul until only love remains. That is the invitation of sacred sexual energy in the twin flame journey. To not merely feel pleasure, but to become whole. To let intimacy be a mirror that reflects your divinity, even as it reveals your wounds. And so, if you find yourself overwhelmed in the intensity of this connection, if desire feels like it brings pain alongside longing, pause, breathe. Know that you are not broken. You are being called home. Let the energy move through you with grace. Let the shadows rise, not to haunt you, but to be freed. Because true sacred union begins not in the merging of two bodies, but in the healing of one soul. Imagine a woman lying awake at night, her heart pounding for reasons she can't explain. She hasn't spoken to her twin flame in months, yet tonight, a wave of warmth pulses through her lower belly. She feels him, not physically, but energetically, like a silent breath brushing against her skin. Arousal rises, but with it comes something unexpected. A deep ache in her chest and an old memory she hadn't thought about in years. She's suddenly 5 years old again, being told that her emotions were too much, her body, something to be hidden. Tears stream down her face, not from sadness alone, but from release. For the first time, she realizes this wave of sacred desire is not asking her to act, but to feel, to surrender to what's rising, and to witness the shame that has silently lived inside her. In this moment, she doesn't push it away. She breathes into it. She wraps her arms around her own trembling body and whispers, "You're safe now." And in that simple act of presence, of choosing healing over suppression, the sacred energy that once overwhelmed her begins to soften. The fire doesn't burn her, it frees her. This is the alchemy of sacred union, where pleasure becomes a pathway and pain becomes permission to return to wholeness. Number 4. Divine polarities in sacred union. the alchemy of feminine flow and masculine grounding. At the heart of every true twin flame connection lies a divine polarity, a sacred dance between two seemingly opposite yet perfectly complementary forces. This union is not simply between two people, but between two cosmic principles, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Together, they create an energetic circuitry that transcends the ordinary, awakening both souls to their highest potential. Yet the journey toward this balance is anything but linear. It is a spiral of remembrance, resistance, healing, and surrender. The divine feminine is often the first to awaken to the connection. Her body and soul act as a vessel, naturally attuned to subtle shifts in vibration. She may begin to feel her counterpart's presence in inexplicable ways through dreams, spontaneous energy surges, or waves of warmth coursing through her chakras. Telepathic sex may arise not through physical interaction, but as a deep, energetic union, an electric current of desire, love, and longing that flows upward through her body, activating ancient codes within her spirit. She often senses the sacredness of the bond long before it becomes tangible, experiencing intimacy not as an act of flesh, but as a merging of souls. In contrast, the divine masculine's awakening tends to follow a different rhythm. While the feminine surrenders to the current, the masculine often withdraws, not out of rejection, but from a deep inner overwhelm. He may feel the intensity of the connection, but lacks the grounding to process its depth. The sensations feel like fire in his veins, uncontainable, untamed. His instinct is to protect, to retreat into silence, into logic, into control, attempting to anchor what he cannot yet name. Yet even as he pulls away, he remains magnetically drawn to the flame. Something in him recognizes this sacred mirror, even if his mind cannot yet grasp its meaning. This divine push and pull is not a flaw, it is the very medicine of the twin flame journey. Through contrast, healing begins. Where the feminine embodies flow, the masculine represents structure. Where she nurtures emotion, he grounds vision. Each challenges and softens the other. Each is called to integrate what the other reflects. As they evolve individually and together, their energies begin to harmonize. What once felt like chaos becomes ceremony. What began as raw, uncontrolled passion transforms into sacred, conscious intimacy. This is the alchemical union of opposites. It is not about dominance or submission, nor about one leading the other. It is about balance. The sacred feminine learns to trust the stillness within her, while the sacred masculine learns to feel the fluidity he once feared. Together, they rise not just in love, but in purpose. Their union becomes a temple, and their connection a portal. Each healing breath, each energetic encounter becomes a step toward alignment, not just with each other, but with the divine itself. In this sacred reunion, sex is no longer an act of pleasure alone, it becomes a prayer, a remembering, a merging of purpose and passion, rooted not in need, but in truth. Their intimacy deepens into alignment, as both partners learn to love with intention, to hold space for healing, and to co-create from the soul. This is the essence of divine polarity and union. It is not always easy, but it is always sacred. If you've made it this far, it means this message has touched something deep within you, a memory, a longing, or a recognition of your own divine journey. Take a moment to breathe and reflect. Have you felt the dance of energies within your connection? Have you witnessed the contrast between surrender and resistance, between flow and grounding? You are not alone in this. Every twin flame story is unique, yet they are all threads in the same sacred tapestry. We invite you to share your experience in the comments, whether it's a moment of awakening, a challenge you're facing, or a sign you've received. Or, if you're not ready to share just yet, simply type, "I honor the divine balance within me." Let this be your affirmation, a sacred commitment to your healing, your growth, and your union. Your words matter. Your presence here is no accident. Number 5. The rise from lust to sacred love. In the realm of twin flame connection, one of the most sacred transformations occurs not in the mind, but in the heart and soul, when raw desire alchemizes into divine love. This is not a shift that happens overnight. It is a journey, a sacred unfolding that begins when the illusion of lust dissolves and the truth of the soul steps forward to take its rightful place. Lust, at its root, is born from a sense of emptiness. It seeks to fill a void, to escape pain, or to chase a fantasy built on longing. It is often fast, fleeting, and filled with intensity but little depth. It comes from the ego, craving what it cannot fully hold. And while lust is not inherently wrong, in the twin flame path, it becomes merely the first doorway to something far more transcendent. When twin flames reunite, whether physically or energetically, the connection begins to take on a different texture. It's no longer about chasing sensations or seeking release. The body becomes a sacred vessel, not for taking, but for honoring. Each touch becomes intentional, each kiss a transmission of memory. Every physical encounter becomes an act of remembrance, a sacred reminder that this connection was never about flesh alone, but about soul, remembering soul. This is the point where passion becomes presence, where intimacy is no longer a means of escape, but a moment of sacred embodiment. The twin flame bond shifts from being driven by impulse to being guided by reverence. It is no longer about what you can get, but what you can give. Your hands no longer grasp, they bless. Your eyes no longer devour, they reflect. Your body no longer seeks to dominate, it yearns to worship the divine essence in the other. As their energies continue to align and harmonize, a divine synergy begins to unfold. Sexual union transforms into something celestial, a holy exchange of soul essence. It is not just about pleasure, but about purity. It is a ceremony of wholeness, a ritual of divine remembrance, where two beings merge not just physically, but energetically, spiritually, and cosmically. In that moment, the physical body becomes a temple, and the act itself becomes a prayer. Even in times of separation, this union continues. The sacred love that once ignited through touch now flows in silence, in dreams, in vibrations that defy space and time. You feel them in your bones, in your breath, in your being, because sacred union, once activated, is not limited to physical proximity. It is sustained by frequency refined, felt, and divinely orchestrated by the universe. This is the true beauty of the twin flame journey. It teaches us that love does not begin in the body, it begins in the soul. And when you rise from lust into sacred love, you are not just loving your twin flame, you are honoring the divine within them and within yourself. Number 6. The final merge and spiritual maturity. There comes a moment in the twin flame journey when all that once felt urgent proof, touch, constant reassurance begins to quiet. It is not because love has faded, but because it has matured. As the souls merge in full union, the need for physical confirmation begins to dissolve. You no longer require their hand in yours to feel their presence. You no longer need to hear their voice to know they are near. The connection transcends form, becoming something far more expansive, an energetic bond felt across dimensions, across lifetimes, and across realms. This is the stage of full spiritual maturity. The final merge is not a climax of romance, but a surrender into divine stillness, where the soul recognizes itself in the other without needing proof. It is here that you understand, energy is enough. Their essence pulses in your breath, your dreams, your quiet moments. The sacred union is no longer limited to time or place. Even from a distance, your bodies communicate, your chakras align, your hearts beat in rhythm without a single word spoken. But with this immense gift comes an equally sacred responsibility. The realm of telepathic sex, where intimacy travels on the wings of thought and desire, must be approached with reverence. Just as physical touch requires permission, so too does energetic connection. Even in soul union, consent remains a spiritual law. You must pause and ask yourself, is this feeling truly mine, or am I reaching into their space uninvited? Is this moment aligned, or am I projecting my need? Is this welcome? This level of awareness is the mark of spiritual maturity. It's the difference between longing and listening. True union honors boundaries. It understands that love is not about constant access, but about sacred alignment. When two energies give permission to merge, it creates a temple not of flesh, but of soul light. And in that temple, Every energetic embrace becomes a healing, a remembrance, a homecoming. At this stage, sex becomes more than pleasure, it becomes spiritual activation. It becomes a ceremony of awakening where both twins are elevated into their higher selves. An orgasm is no longer just a release of tension. It becomes a remembrance of eternity, a moment of divine collapse where all illusions fall away and only truth remains. It's not about taking, but about becoming. Not about craving, but about communing. In this space, love becomes a frequency, a song your soul never stops singing. It transcends body, time, and even distance. It exists in every breath, every heartbeat, every intuitive knowing that you are one. And in this knowing, the final merge is not a destination, but a living vibration that continues to guide you, heal you, and activate your divine path. Telepathic sex is not a fantasy born of longing. It is a divine remembrance, a soul-to-soul communion that bypasses the physical and anchors us in our deepest truth. In a world that glorifies surface-level intimacy, this connection humbles and expands us. It reminds us that the most profound union is not about touching skin, but about touching essence. It's not about having someone, but becoming one with them in spirit. Each energetic encounter is a mirror, reflecting our wounds, our longing, and ultimately our divinity. As twin flames align through frequency rather than form, they shed the illusions of control, ownership, and ego. They don't chase love, they rise in it. They don't beg for closeness, they embody it. Because real union is not dependent on distance or dialogue. It exists in the silence, in the surrender, and in the sacred echoes between two souls who recognize each other beyond time. So, if you've ever felt a wave of desire that seemed to come from nowhere, or sensed a presence in your heart, even when no one was physically near, trust it. That is the soul remembering its mirror. That is intimacy without touch, love without demand, union without condition. Let this be your invitation back to yourself. Comment below with the phrase, "Even silence becomes sacred," if you feel this truth stirring within your spirit. And if this message resonates with your journey, please like the video, share it with someone who needs this healing reminder, and don't forget to watch the video playing just below this screen. It will take you even deeper into the sacred path of soul connection and energetic union. Your awakening is not an accident, it is a return. Welcome home,